panel. Was that awesome? I was sitting backstage like, no, don't end. But do end. But don't end. But do end. Is there a clicker for the slides?
Yes.
Oh, well, that's fine. We'll just wing it. I'm here to talk about death, your favorite subject and mine. No, you're not buying that? See, here's the deal. When we have crypto assets, as we do right now, and I assume that many of you in this room do, and many of you who are watching the live stream do, we have a little problem. When we have full control of our assets, thank you. One quick second here. Which way to, Rodolfo? The big green one is forward. Thank you. So, we have a problem in our industry, and that is when we get rid of third parties, when we take third parties out of the picture, they actually provide some services. And so we have to do what they would do for us. We have to do that ourselves. And so for the past 3 years, I've been looking at this question. What happens to my Bitcoin and to Ethereum and to my crypto kitties if something happens to me? How can my family, how can my loved ones access these assets? You'll see here, this is something that I'm sure you haven't seen on any lawyer presentation, but this is a Creative Commons license. It means that you are free to use any of the information in these slides. You don't have to ask permission. It's a Creative Commons community-based license. So please, if there's something useful for you, feel free to use it. You can find me at empoweredlaw.com or on crypto Twitter at Pamela JD. Get it? I'm a lawyer. That's lawyer humor. So we're going to start with a quiz. You ready? Maybe you've never thought about this before, but I want to know, if you die without a will, who do you think who decides who gets what? So how many of you think you have no idea? You've never thought about this issue before? Yeah, okay, good. Quite a few of you, actually. Secondly, how many of you think your family gets to decide? Many of you think that that's true. Guess what? Unfortunately for you, the answer is C. Your family does not get to decide who gets your assets. In fact, in almost every jurisdiction in the world, there are laws on the books that decide who gets what. And so if you haven't looked at those laws, and most people don't because they're laws and we don't actually go through and read statutes unless you're a lawyer, you might be very surprised as to who will actually get your assets when you pass. So a lot of us today have family not only by blood, but by choice. We have people in our lives who are important to us, and maybe we haven't formalized those relationships with the state. So for example, if you have a domestic live-in partner, if you die without a will or a testament, they get nothing, zero. Why? Because most of these laws are built from decades, sometimes centuries old ideas, where the only thing that mattered was blood lineage, where the only thing that mattered was parentage. And so now our lives are much different than that. But the laws have not changed. The laws have not updated. So, question is, if you die without an estate plan, will your live-in domestic partner get anything? No. Children by marriage that you have not adopted, they get nothing. Even if you've raised them since they were a baby, they get nothing. Your best friend, your favorite political cause, charity, or your favorite LA BitConf. If you wanted to donate money to a cause that you care about, a political cause, a charity, you cannot do that if you don't have a will or a testament. So this is my favorite question. I've asked it a lot at different presentations. I also asked it on Twitter, and I'll tell you what the results are there. But first I want to ask you, how many of you in the audience, your inheritance plan relies on a friend who knows your password? I love the honesty. Thank you, friends. That's honest right there. All right, how about your family remembering what you told them about Bitcoin and a sticky note? Yeah, exactly, yes. And honestly, that's kind of the majority of people. Third, the immortality plan. You never dying. Yes, that's the vast majority. Congratulations. And you are right in line with Twitter. I had about 3,000 people do this poll on Twitter, and that was the number one answer, is my inheritance plan relies on me not dying. And I hope for your sake that that's true. But just in case it's not, maybe you want to take a couple minutes and make a plan. How many of you actually have a detailed, documented, and tested plan in the audience? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Awesome. That's probably the most I've ever seen. Hopefully after this presentation, there will be more of you in that answer, in that area. So what I want you to remember is that planning puts you in control. We love to control our own assets, right? I mean, that's why we're in this thing. We like the idea of freedom. We like the idea of being able to make our own decisions. And planning allows you to do that. Planning allows you to make your own decisions when it comes to inheritance. There are 2 aspects to every single crypto asset plan. One of them is a technical plan. And so that question is, how will your family actually access your keys? And then what the heck are they going to do with them? So once they have your seeds, right, if you're not around to help them, what are they going to do? They're going to go to Reddit. They're going to go to their local meetup. They're going to go somewhere and try and find someone to help them. You probably don't want that to happen, and you don't actually have to have that happen. So you need a technical plan and an access plan, but you also need a legal plan for all of the reasons that I discussed previously. The rest of this presentation is going to focus on the technical side, but I want to talk to you first about some mistaken beliefs. I want to talk to you about reasons that we don't plan. I talk to people all around the world about this subject, and I ask them, why don't you have a plan? You know you need one, right? You know you should have one. It's kind of like eating your vegetables, right? You're like, I know I should, but I'd much rather have dessert. Me too. But the reality is that this is something that you can do. So a lot of people think number 1 complaint is, I have to hire a lawyer. And no one wants to hire a lawyer. I'm a lawyer, and I don't even want to hire a lawyer, okay? So this is a myth. This is a mistaken belief, because you don't actually have to hire a lawyer to get started on your inheritance planning for crypto assets. In fact, most lawyers, a few in the audience, exception I see, don't actually know anything about crypto assets. So you can get started on your technical asset access plan now, today, without a lawyer. And then you can build from that technical access plan later and make it compliant with the law. So this is not a reason to not do this, okay? Second mistaken belief, you have to trust a third party. So a lot of times people think that inheritance planning means you take your secret, your private key, and you give it to someone. That is a terrible idea, right? You're like, yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm totally not doing that. That is not what inheritance planning is. Inheritance planning involves having an overall plan that tells people what to do when you're not around, but doesn't give them the keys beforehand. This is an important component. So you're not actually trusting a third party. The third most common mistaken belief is that I will get hacked or someone will find my plan and then they'll steal all my assets. Okay, you guys, in a plan, in a technical access plan, you're not writing all your seed words down. You're not giving a full list of every single thing that you have and every single secret, right? This is about thinking about how they can access it later, not giving them a one-stop shop on how to actually do it. Finally, how many of you have looked at the prices today? Oh, there's no smiles. I'm sorry, I know, I feel the same way. So you might be thinking right now the value is too low to plan, right? So I'm just gonna take you back a year ago today. How are you feeling then, right? Exactly. So we know that the value of these assets fluctuate a lot. They go up and down very quickly. And so if today you're feeling like the value is too low to plan and you still have your cryptocurrency, think about what the value might be in 6 months, in a year, in 5 years. Because inheritance planning is a long game. Inheritance planning deals with the value 5 years from now, 10 years from now. What does that look like? So these are all the excuses. These are all the things that people say why they don't plan, but I don't think that's really why. I think the real reason that people don't do inheritance planning is because people don't like to face their own mortality. You don't want to spend an afternoon. You don't want to hire someone to help you think about your own death. That sounds terrible, right? Why would you want to do that? There are so many other fun things that you can do instead. And so I want to shape the way that you think about this. I'd like you to take a minute and look at this picture. How many of you see a duck? Please raise your hand. Many of you. Fantastic. How many of you see a bunny rabbit? Okay, good. How many of you see both a duck and a bunny rabbit now? Right? So you guys, we can look at things. Something can be two things at once. Inheritance planning can be kind of sucky, dealing with your own demise, but it can also be other things. You can look at things in a different way, and you can choose to look at it in a different way in order to make it something that you'll actually do. So I'm going to give you 3 ways to look at this that will hopefully help you over that hurdle and help you start planning. Number 1, you can think of this, it's the season for gift giving, right? You can think of this as a way to give a gift to your family, to your friends, to your favorite charitable cause. This is you giving a gift. And we like to give gifts. It makes us feel good. So you can reframe this in your mind as, I'm doing this inheritance planning because I want to give a gift. You can also think of it as a security makeover. So in order to do inheritance planning, you need to actually back up your wallets. How many of you have actually backed up your wallets? How many of you are raising your hand even though you didn't? Because you know it's the right thing to do, right? So you want to make sure when you're doing inheritance planning, you will need to go through and look at those backups and say, hey, are they still there? Could my heirs actually access these things? And what about passphrases and 2-factor authentication? All that kind of stuff. You'll need to take a look at that. So you can think of this as doing a security makeover for yourself. Finally, this is my favorite one. For those of you who are gamers in the house, you can think of this as a time machine mission, right? Maybe you get cryogenically frozen and you come back and you find your plan and now you have Bitcoin riches. I don't know. Any way you want to look at it, right? You can think of it as a game for yourself, as a game for your family, as a way to improve your current Bitcoin holdings or Ethereum holdings. Any way that you do this, do it. Just do it. So where do you start? I have a couple of free resources that are available on Medium, and they're also available on my website, empoweredlaw.com. And there are 2 places that are easy to start. One is with a cryptocurrency inventory, and the other is a letter to loved ones template. I'm thrilled to announce that just in time for this presentation, I was able to get the letter to loved ones template translated into Spanish. It is free. It is available to you right now on my website. I'm not going to take it down, so you don't have to go right this second. I'm thrilled. I'm absolutely thrilled that happened. And so you can use this, and hopefully it will help you start planning today. It's also available in English, and as you can see, it's literally a letter that gives you language. Dear loved one, if you're reading this letter, it's because I want you to know I have cryptocurrency. Also, people can steal this from you, so please be very careful if you have people help you. And the letter will help you think about this and write a letter to your family that they can then read when you're gone. The main thing I want you to remember is that we need to make sure that your family keeps the keys. And that involves making sure that they don't wipe your devices and they don't throw away your seeds. Do they know what a Trezor looks like? Are they going to open a drawer of USB sticks and go, oh, nerd stuff, and put it in the dump? You don't want them to do that. So you want your family to understand what's important and what's not. I would like for you to take out your phones right now. Yeah, do it. Take your phones out. Go to your calendar app. Add yourself a reminder for this upcoming week to write your letter to loved ones. This is totally unfair of me, I know, but I have the microphone. The thing is that often we know that we need to do these things. But the problem is we sit here in this conference and we get inspired and we get excited, and then guess what? Emily comes up after me and she talks about amazing things, and you guys are totally excited about it and you forget to do this. This is so important that I want you to put a calendar reminder to come back and visit this next week after you leave the conference. This could make all the difference to your family. You can also do an inventory. If you don't like the way that a letter feels, if it feels kind of weird to you or your family wouldn't like that, you can do an inventory, and it's basically the same thing. I'm not going to go through it in detail because, again, it's available on the website for you to download for free. I've also written a book about this subject, and this book is available. I just published it this past year. I am working on having it translated into Spanish now. And it is available on Amazon.com and Amazon stores throughout the world. It is available in print, ebook. If you buy the print version, you get the ebook for free. And it's also available in audiobook, which it's been narrated by Stephanie Murphy. Stephanie Murphy is from the Let's Talk Bitcoin podcast. I know, right? And she's a professional voice actor. If you have never heard her speak, you should just get it for that. She has this lovely, velvety voice, and she'll walk you through estate planning. It's amazing. It's great. So whenever I do this presentation, people always ask about smart contracts. They're like, yeah, okay, great inheritance planning. I've got a smart contract for that. In fact, there are at least 4 ICOs, I believe, that have launched to do smart wills, okay? Here's the problem. The problem with inheritance planning and our assets is not transferring an asset from one person to another. We know how to do a Bitcoin transaction, yes? The problem is people. Who is going to hold your heirs' keys? Who's generating those keys? Where do they come from? When I talk to people who have these smart will platforms, I ask them a couple of simple questions. How will the heirs actually get access to these assets? And when I ask that question, either A, they try to gloss over it, or B, it always ends up that they're doing the key generation. They're holding your assets. Why would you want to give them custody of your assets? The second, my third favorite thing, my third favorite thing is that they say they're going to keep this situation a secret. And then once you pass away, they're going to send your heirs a message. And I'm like, ooh, tell me more. How are you going to send my heirs a message? And they're like, we're going to send them an email. Epic fail, right? Why is this a failure? 1, they assume that your heirs are going to have the same email address and that it's not going to be compromised. 2, they're expecting that their email, unsolicited, is going to pass through the spam filter. No. 3, even if it does pass through the spam filter, they're assuming that your heir who is grieving is going to open an email that says, you've inherited cryptocurrency, right? This is not actually going to happen because one of the things that we sometimes forget is that we have the technology and I love it, but we also have people. And we have people that have to deal with these systems. If you're not around to oversee this, I want to know that these systems are actually going to work. I want them to have years of practical experience before I let my heirs and my clients actually use these things. Does that mean that I'm a Luddite and that I don't think smart contracts are going to work? No, right? I love time lock. I love the idea of including multi-sig with layers. All of these things are coming, and I love them. But don't forget about the people part. We're just not there yet. We will be, just not yet. In closing, I just want you to remember that humans die and crypto assets don't, but you can leave a lovely gift for your family. You can actually make sure that your family can inherit your Bitcoin, Ether, and CryptoKitties. And it doesn't take a lot. Thank you so much for your time and attention, and I'm happy to take questions.